Hey, so today I'm going to be discussing the article Making Word Problems Meaningful, written by Melissa Gallagher, Laura Ellis, and Travis Weiland. These three authors have written some very important information inside of this article, and I drew some important points out in this presentation, and I definitely want to keep it for further use in my classroom as a mathematics teacher. So the first point that I came across was kind of the overarching theme for the beginning part of the article. And I believe that we need to take a step back from the way that we have assigned word problems for years and rewrite them in ways that are more meaningful for students. That being said, there are three problems with the ways that word problems are currently written. The first is that students are taught to rely on keywords to solve problems. They are also taught to look for the numbers and strictly pull those out. And the third problem is they often jump to the questions and neglect the entire first part of the question, so they fail to do the math properly. Now, these three problems can be avoided if we learn to teach students how to read mathematics problems through a literature point of view, and also teaching them to stray away from just jumping to the question, to focus on the question in its entirety. The next point I have is that creating disciplined reading comprehension strategies is key. This is super important to teach students if you want them to read the mathematical word problem, equation, anything involving mathematics correctly. They need to learn how to comprehend and how to read the question, and that is a very important part. The final point I have is a huge part of this entire article. There are 4 strategies that need to be integrated into mathematics. And those strategies are visualizing, retelling, making connections, and asking questions. Each 4 of these is important, and they do all work together. Visualizing, we want to tie that to schematic representations to help understand. We don't want our students to get caught up on drawing the perfect picture. We want them to draw diagrams, representations, and things like that in order to help them solve the problem, but we don't want them to get carried away and think that it's art class or anything like that. The second important part is retelling, and we connect that to numberless word problems. Those are an essential part of the mathematics classroom, especially today. We have learned that students actually are likely to grapple with the information and are forced to critically think without the numbers in the problem. They have to focus more so on the words in the problem and what the question is actually asking. The third point that we have is making connections. We want the students to make personal and mathematical connections. If they can relate to the problem in any way, that is perfect. That will keep them engaged. That will also help them to understand the problem at hand. And the mathematical connections part is just kind of connecting it to something that they had learned in the past, or something that one of their peers have said, or any type of conversation that they've had that will help them understand the problem. And the last part is asking questions. We want our students to ask questions about the problem because we want them to be problem posers. We want them to understand that there's more than just that single question at the end of a word problem. We want them to ask questions as they read and stop after every sentence to examine the problem at hand. These are important strategies to remember, and I definitely will include these in my future classrooms. So I'm extremely glad that I read this article. Thank you.